Are you wondering which city in Germany is the most awesome to live in? Well, stick around because in this video we'll talk about the best overall cities, the best ones for finding English-speaking jobs, as well as the best city for families, and of course the most expensive and cheapest cities that you can live in Germany. Hey, I'm Jen from simplegermany.com, where we help expats settle into life in Germany more smoothly. If you're interested in how to make your life easier in Germany, make sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you get notified whenever we release new content. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, a little disclaimer. Best city, it's very subjective. It really depends on your quality of life and what your expectations for a city is. So it's really hard to determine what will be the best city for you. You have to figure that on your own. But in this video, I will provide some information about the best cities based on not only my personal experience and experience from friends that have lived in these cities, but also based on one of the most popular expat surveys out there called the Expat Insider. This survey is done by Internations, which is a super big expat community, and in 2019, they interviewed over 20,000 expats. The results for that survey has also helped me to figure out which are the best cities so I can share them with you. So, disclaimer aside, let's get into it. Let's start with the best overall cities. The three best overall cities to live in Germany are Aachen, Düsseldorf, and Hamburg. These were the top-rated cities on this Internations expat survey. Aachen is a very small town. It's actually super popular for students because one of the best engineering schools in Germany is there, which is called the RWTH. So, given the fact that it's a small town, of course, the amount of activities that you're able to do are not so broad. So Aachen has a little bit more of a town flair. It's a small student town, I would call it. The second one on the list is Düsseldorf, which is pretty cool because this is a city that I'm living in. Needless to say, I'm a bit biased to Düsseldorf because I live here, obviously. However, what I can give you as an overview is that Düsseldorf, for me, it's a big enough city that feels big, that offers a lot of activities, but also it's small enough that it still feels like a town. I, for example, can cycle everywhere and can be from point A to point B in a matter of maximum 30 minutes. So that I find pretty cool. The one downside I personally find about Düsseldorf is that it's not so close to nature. So for example, this area of the Rhineland, which is where I live, it's very flat. So if you're into hiking or outdoor activities, this is not really going to be the place for you. You can of course explore the areas around Düsseldorf, which is a little bit outdoorsy, but for that you will need a car. If you're interested in how to buy a car in Germany, make sure to check out our video. We created a whole step-by-step guide on how to buy a car in Germany. But anyways, that's a different topic. So the third one of the best overall cities was Hamburg, or is Hamburg. Hamburg is the port city of Germany. It is filled with startups and people are generally very open-minded. If you're into sports, Hamburg is a great city. Yvonne, who is my German wife, she is into triathlons and she loves doing the triathlon in Hamburg because the Stimmung, as the Germans call it, or the environment for sports events is just unique in Hamburg. You cannot replicate that kind of environment and support for sports activities than you find in Hamburg. So if you're into sport activities or competitions just for leisure or actually professionally, Hamburg is a really cool choice. What else? So we covered, these are the three best cities overall in Germany. Now let's go for the best cities to actually find an English-speaking job. So English-speaking jobs are usually found in bigger cities and the ones that have the highest number of startups. Generally, startups are the ones that provide the most amount of English-speaking jobs for expats. So the number one on this list is Berlin, of course. Berlin is the home of tons of startups, so that means that the chance for you to find an English-speaking job there is a lot higher than anywhere else. Berlin is one of the biggest cities in Europe. It's actually the second biggest after London. So if you're into big cities, this is a place for you. I personally find Berlin a little bit too big. What I don't really like is that it really takes a long time to go from point A to point B. However, Berlin is a melting pot. It's full of international people, tons of activities happening all the time. And if you're into anything in particular, Berlin most likely have it for you. So it's a great place to be if you're looking for that big sense of city lifestyle. Number two on the list, let me check here, my cheat sheet, is Munich. Munich also has a big number of tech companies. Not so much startups, but tech companies. For example, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon have their headquarters in Munich, and most of them also offer English-speaking jobs. So the downside about Munich is that it's the most expensive city to live in Germany. So if you're looking to find a job there, make sure that the salary is a little bit above average because you will need to make ends meet with that salary. And trust me, rent can be super expensive in Munich. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. The cool thing about Munich though is that it's super close to nature. In 2 hours you can be at the Alps, either for hiking or if it's winter for skiing. There's the range of outdoor activities that you can do in Munich. It's just amazing. When you visit the city, it's no surprise to find one outdoor shop after the other, because that's just how much the people down in the south are outdoors. So that I find super cool. However, like I mentioned, it's a super expensive city to live in. The third one on the list is Frankfurt. Frankfurt is actually called the banking capital of Germany. It provides a lot of jobs also in the banking sector. So if you're into that sector, make sure to check Frankfurt out. Frankfurt was ranked number 4th on the most awesome city to live in Germany. This is of course after Aachen, Düsseldorf, and Hamburg. Now let's talk about the best place for families to live in. According to a study done by Movinga, which is a moving company, where they actually looked at 150 countries with I don't know how many criteria to determine the best city to live for families, Munich was ranked number 4 out of these 150 countries. So some of the criteria that they used was education, employment numbers, and the leisure activities that the city or the area provided for families. So if you have a family, make sure to look into Munich. You would probably love it down there. Now let's jump into the 3 cheapest cities to live in Germany. These are Aachen, Karlsruhe, and Hanover. These 3 are very small towns, and maybe because they're such small towns, they actually have lower cost of living, which makes sense, right? Remember, Aachen has been voted as the best city to live in Germany, so if you don't mind living in a smaller town, then Aachen might be the city for you. Now, how about the most expensive cities? I already mentioned the most expensive one being Munich, and this one is followed by Frankfurt actually, and Nuremberg is number 3. So again, if you're gonna find a job in one of these cities, or you already have a job there, make sure your salary will cover all the basic costs. If you need help with that, there's a really cool website that I love to use, and it's called Numbeo, and there you can really see the average cost for everything. You can see public transportation, how much does a loaf of bread cost, beer, rent, and all the important things, so you can do an estimation for yourself. Ooh, that was a lot of information. So which one would I consider the best city to live in? From my own experience, as I mentioned before, I live in Düsseldorf, and I just love it here, despite the fact that it's not really outdoorsy in that sense. But I love the fact that the city is small enough to feel like a town, but still big enough that is city worthy. The cool thing about Düsseldorf is that it's sitting in an area of Germany called the Rhineland, which actually a lot of people say that the friendliest people of Germany are actually from the Rhineland, being Düsseldorf and Cologne the top 2 for these places. So you will find more friendly people here and a little bit more open-minded than the rest of Germany. So that is my conclusion. I hope this video has helped you, my friends, and if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments below. I'll be sure to reply as best as I can, and the best of luck to you. See you next time. Tschüss!